Hello everyone, my name is Vijay Balakrishnan. I'm the Chief Data Officer of Michelin Group. I'm here to talk about a very critical topic in the data-driven aspirations of any organization, which is triggering the right data-driven mindset and culture. So we are going to look at a brief history of Michelin. We are going to look into what data-driven mindset and culture mean, and we are going to see the list of actions that we are undertaking at Michelin to deal with this very critical topic. So some key figures about Michelin, and keep this in mind, these are 2020 figures when the year was tough because of the pandemic for all the organizations globally. We are about 124,000 people. We operate in more than 170 countries. We have about 117 production sites, and our net revenue in 2020 was about 20.5 billion euros. Our principal focus of operations is tires, as you would all know. But strategically, we want to play around three definitive areas, which is also the Michelin Group strategy, which was announced earlier this year. We want to continue our specialty and our competency around tires. We want to reinvent the aspects of tires on what we put into the tires and where we operate the tires, how we operate the tires, our efficiency, our carbon footprint, etc. We also want to focus around tires. This is about taking our existing customer base of tires and incrementally adding value to those customers beyond just tire as a product. So we want to sell solutions around tires, intelligence around the aging of tires and so on. This is our focus around tires. But by 2030, we definitely want to have a significant presence beyond tires, which is why we have started focusing on some futuristic aspects for this world, for the human race, like hydrogen cells, 3D metal printing, and so on. So, data-driven aspirations of Michelin. Michelin has begun its journey to become a data-driven company. There are three words that are very critical in this sentence. One, we have just begun the journey. Two, it is going to be a journey. It's not a destination that you can reach and say, oh, from today I'm data-driven forever. We have to continuously reinvent, be innovative to sustain the position of being data-driven. And third, of course, it is a critical aspiration of our company to become data-driven in this world. So, what does it mean when we say an organization wants to become data-driven? There are two sections of thought process that combine to form a data-driven definition of any organization globally today. One, of course, right, we want to have more value derived from our data sets. So what kind of value we are talking about? We are talking about three types of value here. We are talking about new business models which are set up with a data first mindset. We are talking about increasing our existing business performance and results by the use of data and decisions derived from data. And third, to increase our productivity and thereby reduce our cost of operations by efficient use of critical data for our regular operations. So this is the common definition that you would see around data-drivenness across any organization globally today, which is increasing the value derived from data in these three dimensions. And this is why more commonly you will see this term data as an asset. Because when you start to do these three, you will start using data as a critical asset of your company. But often overlooked is the other side of the data-drivenness, which is the people side of it. In a data-driven company, every employee should have access to and have the knowledge of using, analyzing, and taking decisions based on quality data. And this is where at Michelin we have started focusing on another critical term in addition to data as an asset, which is data as a fundamental right. That is where the push to use data will be replaced by a pull from all the employees in different functions globally to have access to data, because they treat it as a fundamental right, as their fundamental right. So we have established the two walks of the data-driven journey. The value walk, which most of the organizations are already doing effectively. And the second one is the people side of it, where data as a fundamental right is established in the organization and used by the employees in the company. Now let's take a brief look at two things. What does it mean for data to be treated as a fundamental right? And what is the role of a central data organization in this journey? If data has to be used as a fundamental right, we need to democratize access to data. That means we have to create a layer that is easy to understand, accessible and available and easy to use by the employees of the company without too much of a technical knowledge on how to operate with data. To do that, we should set up foundational data-driven value set in the organization. Every employee's behavioral traits in the company should be triggered towards use of data in their function for efficient decision making for their work. And to do that, taking a step backwards, we need to make sure that the leadership in the organization is able to follow and instill these behavioral traits that are needed for a data-driven company. And before we get the leadership acculturized, we need to know as an organization where we are lagging, and that's where a data culture survey of the organization will help throw light on the aspects where as an organization you need to improve. It could be on the knowledge, it could be on the access to data, or it could be core in the organizational culture and the art of decision making that is followed in your organization. Now let's get to the role of a central data organization in this journey. This is what we at Michelin call as data foundations. And I would simply put three groups on which the role of the data foundations or the central data organization falls. One, to make data available and accessible. Two, to proliferate the knowledge of tools, to train the people on the tools and technologies, the minimalistic training that would be needed for them to be operative on their data sets. Three, the knowledge of data itself. What is the right data set? Where is it stored? What does it mean through a proper cataloging mechanism and an enterprise data model that people could search the business ontology on, that is required to proliferate the knowledge of the data set. So, make data accessible and available, teach them and train them on the technologies that they should use to analyze the data for their work, and three, help them with the knowledge of data set so that they are able to operate on it effectively. So talking about Michelin's data-driven roadmap, we have 4 blocks of activities that we focus on. One, data literacy. This is where, like I said, we focus on different modes of trainings, e-learning modules, classroom-based trainings, training tracks for people to get some certifications like Data Mavericks or Data Ninjas and so on. So we focus on different avenues to train data from a literacy standpoint. Second is data democratization, which is definitely the derivative of the first step. We want to make sure data is available in an understandable manner for all the employees of the company. We train people to switch to that mindset so that people seek data access and start using them for their work. And we also make sure that there are questions in the minds of people that would come as they try to be operative with data. We are answering them in a very quick way. We call this the data cafe, which is where people can ask a quick question and a stream of experts answer those queries. For both of this to happen, there is a foundational layer of searchable business ontology that is available for use. The third one is, of course, right, so we don't adhere to the thought process that we can do everything on our own. So we have external partnerships like the EDM Council, and we have partnered with a startup in the US for the data culture surveys. So we have different partners in this journey that we employ and focus from a third bucket. But a very critical foundational element, which is the fourth focus area for us, is communications and engagement. We make sure that although data and data activities have to be distributed by the nature of it in an organization between its regions and functions and business lines, we work towards a centralized communication mechanism on everything that is happening around data in the company. And to top all of this, we've also started to plan a data leadership acculturization, which is where few critical cultural elements like empowering the decision makers in the organization, making sure there's a drive towards data-based decision making, making sure that the decision making process itself is revamped. So we have these, and of course data storytelling and data visualizations on top of it. We have put together a structure, it is for 2022, where we want to make sure the leadership at Michelin is acculturized to this data-driven thinking. So that's from our side, that is from me on the data-driven culture and mindset and what we are doing in this journey. Thank you so much.